Let's talk about graphing lines using slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is the ever-popular y equals mx plus b. You want to think of b as your beginning of your graph. So using the number that they give you for b, you would put that on the y-axis and that'll be the beginning of your plot. M is how you're going to move from that point to get to another point in order to connect the dots and make your line. So think of M as the move. B is beginning, M is the move. So once you plot the B and you've begun your graph, you'll use M, which is our slope, to plot another point. So from B, you'll move to M. So you want to write M as a fraction if it's not already a fraction. Remember things like if there's nothing underneath a number, there's always a 1. And if it's like a negative, then it's a -1. Then use rise over run, so you're going to use the slope to move to another point. So we're going to look at some examples. You connect your points and you graph the line. So I wrote a few steps just to keep all that straight. Step 1 is to solve for y using the same steps we use when we solve equations. You just want to get y by itself, but you're not going to usually get y equals a number except for in some cases, but you could. But usually you'll end up with y equals, and you can write it in mx plus b form to make it easy to pick out the b and the m. Plot b on the y-axis, and then use m to find another point. So let's look at some examples of this. Example 1 is pretty straightforward. I have y equals 1/3 x plus 2. So b is 2. mx plus b. b is the beginning of my graph at 2. So I just need to go up 2 on the y-axis. So from 0, I'm going to plot a 2 right there. That's the beginning of my graph. And then the m is the 1/3. So this was the b, which is the beginning. This is the m, which is how I'm going to move. So I'm going to move from 2, up 1, and right 3. Remember, those words are positive sounding words. So see how 1/3, they're both positive. Up and right also sound positive. So I'm going to go from that dot up 1 and right 3 boxes. And now 2 points is all we have to graph a line. So I'm just going to sketch my line and I'm finished. So if they give you y equals, it's pretty straightforward, and if they don't, we can always solve for y and then use these steps. Let's look at another example. In this example, I have y equals -x minus 1. So b in this case is going to be a -1. That's going to be my beginning. And m is a -1, and I can write it over 1 because I want to make it into a fraction. That way I know where to go, up, down, left, or right. So let's look. Let me get my other marker. Stay color-coded here. So b is -1, and that was the beginning. So I'm going to go from the middle down to -1 on the y-axis. That's my y-intercept right there. And then I'm going to plot my m, my move. So from that point, where do I need to move? I need to move down 1. See how that's a negative? So I'm going to say down is negative, down 1. But then this one is considered a positive, so that's right. Because it's always rise over run. So you're going to go up or down for this number. And the bottom number determines whether or not you go left or right. So down 1, right 1. So from that dot, I need to go down 1, right 1. And that one's pretty easy, so we could just go ahead and put a couple more while we're at it. And then we can sketch our line. But you only have to have 2 points to graph a line. It's just when they're easy like that, you may as well graph a few more to make it easier to draw the line properly. Now let's look at 2 more examples. For example 3, sometimes we're given standard form. This is what standard form looks like. 3x plus 2y equals 4. I have the x and y on one side, and the constant is on the other side. But I want us to solve for y so I can use those same easy steps we've already been looking at. So to get y by itself usually takes these 2 steps where I can move the x term. So I'm going to move 3x. To move it, I need to subtract it from both sides. So I bring down 2y And notice on this side, I'm going to go ahead and write it in mx plus b form. So I put the negative 3x first and then the 4. And I can't put them together because they're not considered like terms. One has an x and one is just a number. So they just have to go beside each other. Then I'm going to get rid of this 2 because I'm trying to solve for y. I want to get y all by itself. So that's 2 times y. So I must divide in order to get rid of it because it's multiplying. So then the the 2 would go away. I got y by itself. I have negative 3 over 2x. And then 4 divided by 2 can simplify to just be 2. So in 2 steps, I've now got y equals mx plus b. So that is going to help me to use these same simple steps to put this on my graph. B is the beginning and m is the move. So think of that to keep you straight. Let me get the right marker. B is the beginning, which is 2. So I go up 2, always start in the very center, go up 2, and then I'm going to move negative 3 over 2. Negative 3 means I'm going to have to go down 3, and 2 means I need to go right 2. So down 3, right 2. So from the beginning, I go down 3, right 2. And I could do it one more time and then draw my line. Okay, let's look at one more example. Over here, we have x minus 3y equals 7. Or excuse me, that's a 9. It got rubbed off. So this one's also in standard form because I have x and y on this side and my constant on that side. So these typically take these 2 steps. You got to move the term with x and then divide by what is in front of the y. So let's move this x term over by subtracting x. Bring down negative 3y equals negative x plus 9. Again, notice I don't put these 2 together because one is x and one is a 9. They don't go together. So they just need to come down in mx plus b form. And then you're on the right track. Now I'm going to get rid of the negative 3. So let's divide everything by negative 3 and bring down y equals. Now we've learned before that a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So let's write that as a positive 1/3. And then 9 divided by negative 3 is a negative 3 because that's a positive divided by a negative would be a negative. Now, in those 2 steps, I've got it in y equals mx plus b form. So I can plot my beginning and I can plot my move and I can draw my line. So let's do that. See? All right. So b is the beginning, which is a negative 3. So I need to go down 3 to get started. M is my move. So 1 over 3, they're both positive. So let's think of positive words that go with those. 1 would mean I need to go up 1. That's always up or down. And 3 means I need to go right 3 because the bottom number is always left or right. So I need to go positive and positive. Up, right. So up 1 from the beginning and right 3. And let's draw the line. So that's good for now. Let's practice some in class.